Hello everybody, Ben Woodruff here with another falconry video. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about and demonstrating how to make anklets for gyr falcons and saker falcons and all other falcons and birds of prey. But specifically, this is a design that I like to use for gyr falcons and sakers for a specific reason that I'll get into in a moment. But again, if you're like, I'm not flying a gyr falcon, this goes for all falcons as well. But if you haven't already, if you could please hit subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think of this video. It's a huge help. Now, when we're getting into saker falcons and gyr falcons, a lot of times that might not be a bird you start with depending on where you live in the world. But a little bit about these birds really quickly and why we're talking about them specifically. So, gyr falcons, largest falcon in the world. They can be pure white, pure black, and any shade of gray or silver in between. And they are, again, largest falcon in the world. They're a cold weather bird. They're circumpolar. They live in the northern part of the northern hemisphere, and they will extend down from that range. So they cover many different countries, but it's one region. Now, saker falcons are an old world species, second largest falcon in the world, and they're generally thought of as being a warm weather bird. When you think of saker falcon, you normally picture, Arabian falconry, maybe hunting Havara bustards, and that's okay to think of them that way. But in the old world, when you're in parts of Siberia, China, Nepal, Mongolia, some of these areas, the southern range of a gyr falcon and the northern range of a saker overlap. And where that happens, they are nearly indistinguishable. And they interbreed. They cross over. And I will do a video specifically about that later on. But the gyr falcons and the saker falcons in that area are nearly indistinguishable, and as such develop a lot of physical traits that are comparable. And that is why specifically. So your most extreme gyr and your most extreme saker maybe don't need what I'm talking about. So what am I talking about? Well, let's get specifically about it. Gyr falcons, the tarsus, the bone which normally is the tibia, I'm getting this messed up here. The foot bones are normally separate, but on a bird they fuse together, and it's called the tarsus. And that's what we normally refer to it as. And this bone, this section on a gyr falcon and on colder weather sakers typically is very short. Now you look at this compared to other birds like a Harris hawk or a goshawk or a sharp-shinned hawk is of course a fabulous example of a very long tarsus. And now the longer your tarsus is, that gives you more reach. And if you are a bird like where you're doing this kind of a chase, then your ability to reach out and grab a longer tarsus is better. If you are a falcon that's going to dive and just knock something out of the sky by a grazing blow with your feet, then a shorter, stout, stronger tarsus is better. We always go on and on and on about how birds have hollow bones, they're lightweight so they can fly. Having had the chance to handle the skeleton of a peregrine falcon, bone by bone, I can tell you the tarsus of a peregrine falcon is incredibly dense, able to withstand the impact of the stoop, the dive a falcon does. That is part of the reason why, in general, falcons seem to have a shorter tarsus than a hawk. Okay, or an eagle, or any other raptor. But the other reason why gyr falcons specifically and colder weather sakers, which again, the Earth has been warming up since the Ice Age, and falcon diversification and proliferation has acted accordingly. But there's no question that the gyr and the saker line are very closely related, and it's more of sakers have become warmer weather adapted instead of the other way around. And as such, usually sakers still will have a shorter tarsus than other comparable falcons. So gyr falcons, saker falcons, short tarsus. So what does that have to do with cold weather? Well, a longer bare tarsus allows you to dissipate heat. If you are a cold weather bird, dissipation of heat is not what you want. You want a short, bare tarsus that you can pull up and fluff up easy and warm up. So so a long tarsus is a heat dissipating device. So that's something you got to deal with. Gyr falcons, the gyr falcon we'll be demonstrating on today has, for a gyr, quite long tarsi, but they're still short. Now, why is this a problem? Sometimes their tarsus is so short that a traditional aylmeri anklet that might have cuts to flare at both ends is not going to work. It has to be extremely narrow. This is a gyr falcon with a pretty wide tarsus, and so I can make a guess about the width of my index finger, which is pretty good, pretty standard. But I'm going to still use the gyr design, which is a rolled design. So when we're taking a look at this, first of all, what we got to take a look at is the width. I'm going to cut a little piece of paper about the width of my index finger and wrap it around the leg, measure so that I can get a sense of what I'm doing. I wouldn't necessarily do this if I had somebody else holding the bird and helping me, but I'm having her hooded. I'm going to do this myself, and so I want the measurements to be exact, and it's easier on a hooded bird to mess around with a piece of paper than a piece of leather. So once I have that, what we're looking at here is I'm going to use some black kangaroo hide leather. Now there's a soft side, or let me rephrase it, there's a smooth side and a rough side. The smooth side is the skin outside, and the underside is the rough side. Sometimes on some leathers, that's the soft side, so a lot of people like to put the soft side in. But on a gyr falcon with this rolled design, what we're doing is we're doing the smooth side, or outside of the hide, will be turned in towards the leg scales. Okay, don't need to worry about that yet, but just keep that in mind. So we're going to take our grommet and leave an impression and punch a hole out accordingly that matches up with that. And then we are going to go ahead and use our measurement from the paper. And you can see I'm leaving a little bit wider on both sides of the paper measurement. That's important because that's going to be used to roll. Once we have that cut out, and once we have both of our grommet holes punched in, then now it's time to prep for the roll. Remember, the smooth side is going to be on the inside of the finished anklet here. So what we're going to do, because this is stiff, good kangaroo hide, we're going to go ahead and fold over these rolls, and then we're going to take a pair of needle nose pliers and smash it down to kind of break up the fibers of the leather itself. That will help prep for what we're going to do. Then once we have that, we are going to make sure the part of the anklet that contains the grommet on the finished anklet, we don't want to have this roll. So that part sticks out. And so we're going to do a little cut and cut around where that will be for the finished product. Then we're going to take some glue, and I use leather glue. In this case, I'm trying some Gorilla Glue that is meant to be used like barge cement. Even rubber cement will work. But basically, this is a two-part contact cement. So we're going to put the glue on, and we're going to smooth it out. I'm using a bamboo shish kebab skewer to go ahead and smooth it out. And then we're going to let it dry for a couple of minutes until it's tacky. You don't want it to be wet, but you don't want it to be bone dry. So 1.5, 2 minutes, usually in Utah weather is enough. We have a very arid climate. 2 minutes will do it. Then I roll them over again, take the pliers, and push it down. And I'm also going to bend the anklet itself. This helps it set properly. Got to make sure it's very properly glued down and secure. Now also, you got to think about this. This is going to make a teardrop shape. We don't want a teardrop shape. We want it to be a circle so that this finished anklet will smoothly go up and down the tarsus without any damage to it. If it's shaped like a teardrop, that's not good. And so at this stage as well, before we've put the grommets in and applied them, you want to kind of smush it and make sure that the inside shape is round. Once we've got this done, it's time to put them on. Now, there are all kinds of Grommet Setter sets. A lot of them, you have to have a little base and a little pin and a hammer, and it's like multiple parts. It's kind of a pain. And so what I like to use is a welded Grommet Setter. So what this is you take, you can buy these online. I think Western Sporting Publications has them. I think Mike's Falconry has them. There's a lot of places that have them. But basically what it is a pair of vice grips that they've just welded the two parts of the Grommet Setter to the vice grip. Works magically, and so I'm able to just put these on myself with a hooded gyrfalcon with no problem, didn't need anybody else's help. And then you have your finished anklets, rolled anklets on the bird. You can see we have you put the band, if you have a captive bred bird that has to have a band, you have that band up above the jess so that when they bait, the anklet is not pulling down and smushing that band into the bird's foot. Now, I have put on kangaroo hide jesses for today. I am about to put on, in an upcoming video, some braided jesses. And I'll have a braided jess system, and I'll explain the reasoning why, the differences between the two. So that'll be coming up. But for today, for this video, just some regular old kangaroo hide jesses work just fine. So this system works really good. One of the things that's really interesting about gyrfalcons, they do, and your more northernly sakers, is their skin is a bit softer on their legs. It genuinely is. And in fact, because they're cold weather birds, you can even see if you look closely, they have feathers. Many gyrfalcons, their first year, will have tiny little feathers coming in on their feet where you shouldn't have feathers. Now, the wear and tear of falconry eventually makes these feathers wear off. I have no idea on wild gyrfalcons. I would love to hear, if you are a biologist who has encountered wild gyrs, I would love to know just how fluffy can the feet of a gyrfalcon get. Can they get as fluffy as like a great horned owl or even a snowy owl? That would be very interesting to know, as they are very cold weather birds. So anyways, hope you have found this video interesting. Again, this is the jess style that I like. It's very smooth. You can make it narrower than any other. Sorry, I keep saying jess style. We're talking about anklets, and then the jess goes through, but it's a jess system. And the anklet system that we're talking about can be made narrower than any other anklet for a bird this size and still safely keep them secure. So it works great. Hope you find it useful. You can use it on just about any other raptor as well, but I love it for gyrs and sakers. So hope this video is useful. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, happy hawking.